Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Transport, what action is the government taking to improve Wellington's train network?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, today I announced a further funding package from the government that will bring Wellington's metro rail back up to a high and reliable standard for commuters. The government is committing a further $88 million for the upgrade of the remaining signalling and power supplies in Wellington. In addition, the government will also co-fund Greater Wellington Council's $80 million refurbishment of the 30-year-old GANS Mavic units with the help of NZTA. This comes on top of the existing $383 million upgrade, which includes the new Mātangi trains.
Excellent.
Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, what other changes have been announced as part of the package today?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, the Greater Wellington Regional Council has agreed to share the costs and responsibilities for delivering these and future improvements to Wellington's rail system. NZTA will now fund rail on the same basis as they fund other forms of public transport, including a move to a 50% funding rate over 10 years, but also funding the capital improvements. The Council will pay a realistic track access charge to Kiwi Rail with a subsidy from NZTA that reflects the fair cost of maintaining the track and other assets. The Wellington rail network has been a considerable and ongoing source of frustration for many commuters, and it took the previous government a huge amount of time to get round to doing anything about it. This package, coupled with the previous investments, will transform the service into a modern, reliable public transport option for Wellingtonians.
Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary question to the Minister. Why isn't the government funding the full cost of the Wellington rail upgrade, meaning that Wellingtonians are going to face increased rates to fund the rest of it? And why shouldn't they feel like they're getting the rough end of the deal, given he's spending 15 times what he's allocated for Wellington Rail on his holiday highway north of Auckland?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I realise that Mr Hipkins is one of the Labour Party people who thinks that government money is costless, but actually it isn't. It comes from taxpayers, and this is a very good partnership between taxpayers, the Greater Wellington Regional Council, Kiwi Rail, who are contributing some assets, and also NZTA with transport subsidies. It's a very good package, and I'm sure that the member could endorse it because it's going to be very good for Wellingtonians, including members from his own electorate.
Chris Farfoy.
Will the Minister reassure Wellington rail commuters that they won't face fare increases until the service has actually improved, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, if the member had done his research, he would know that the fares for Wellington Rail are set by the Greater Wellington Regional Council, not by the government, but that happens to be the reality of it. But I think it is important, as we have said previously, that after many years of mismanagement of the Wellington Rail network, including a good number of years by the previous government before they actually got their act into gear and started making some form of investment, has meant that there has been a catch-up which has to be met in a fair way between all the stakeholders, including passengers, ratepayers and taxpayers.
Question of the Honourable Sir Roger Douglas.
Mr Speaker, has the Minister seen the comments of Dr Roderick Dean in a recent speech that the rail network will be valued at $14.5 billion by 2015, yet Kiwi Rail will not generate any surpluses over the next 5 years? And does he agree that pouring money into projects that don't yield any return is a sure path to fiscal crisis?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, the answer to the second, well, actually there's a whole range of answers there, and I'm struggling to pick one. But I think the point that I would make to Dr Dean is that you have a sunk asset which you have to decide whether you're going to make an investment.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Speaker, I just wonder whether, instead of leaning over, the member could address you.
That's right.
No, won't have that. The Honourable Stephen Joyce. Order. The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
You'd think the member for Hutt South would have some interest in the improvement of the rail network, but obviously not.
The House will come to order. The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I think the important thing that perhaps Dr Dean doesn't realise is that passenger transport in both Wellington and Auckland and in fact around the world have never made profits, but they do provide congestion benefits to motorists, which is why public transport subsidies are in place. In regards to his other assertions about the rail network generally, I do have concerns about the value of that asset, and the government certainly had concerns, and we think the previous government overpaid hugely to return that asset to the public fold. We're in the situation, we're making a best of a bad situation and seeking to get the best possible return we can from that asset.
Question number 7, the Honourable Damien O'Connor.